your economic outcomes, right? Like a lot of people think that those who are economically successful, hey Vincent from the Philippines, a lot of us think that people who are economically successful that they got lucky, or that somehow things just worked in their favor, or that someone gave them a bunch of money and just put them on top of the pile, or maybe it just happened because they're white or whatever, right? And I personally think that sometimes what we underestimate is how our expectations play a part in our economic outcomes. I think expectations are everything because expectations creates what is referred to in finance as an anchoring bias. And the anchoring bias, all that really is what you compare your outcome to. Like what comparison point do you make for deciding if you succeeded or if you failed? So if you're a runner and you expect to be able to run 6 minute miles and you run an 8 minute mile, you're going to think you ran slow. But if you expected to run a 10-minute mile, then you're going to think that you had a great run. You're going to be super excited about it. And so this leads me to think about, like in public school, I wonder what expectations are we putting on the children? Are we expecting, do we expect Black children and American children to outpace and outperform the rest of the world? Or do we expect them to kind of lag along and just say, well, at least Tyrone can read, and at least he graduated, and at least he's not in jail, at least he takes care of his kids, just sort of setting that low level expectation. And I think low expectations is kind of a curse. I really do. I think that when you set expectations low, you put a limit, a very natural psychological limit on the potential of the person to whom you've set the expectation. So I believe that high expectations is a great step toward achieving whatever goal you want, becoming what you want, economically or otherwise, and just being the best that you can absolutely be. So I think that we should commit to high expectations. I think high expectations is also connected to high self-esteem. If you have high self-esteem and you feel good about yourself, then you're going to have high expectations of yourself. You're going to expect black excellence to just come out of the bag every single time. You're not going to really be comfortable with mediocrity. That's just my 2 cents. All right, so as we start Money in the morning, one thing I want to do is remind you, make sure you get on the text list. The text list, if you're not on it, text the word morning to the number 87948. Text morning to 87948. And also just a reminder, a lot of you know about Dr. Claude Anderson's book, Powernomics, and a lot of you have a copy. And I wanted you all to just know that we also have copies of his other book, that the other book that really changed my life. It was the first Dr. Anderson book I ever read, and it's called Black Labor, White Wealth. I don't know if anybody has that book or not. But Black Labor, White Wealth is just amazing because it's a book that really breaks down just how they got all of our money, and he gives very specific information, like like this is the average cost of a slave in 1802, and just stuff like that, stuff that these receipts that we don't really get from public schools. Like public school systems don't give you receipts on truly what happened to you. It doesn't matter to me if liberals or conservatives are running those schools. There's not an effort to really truly educate black children on the things that black children need to know to really understand the world and to be successful. I'd rather have our people educating our kids on the things that our kids need to know. I don't trust other people to do it. I just don't. And so anyway, if you want to get a copy of the book, you can go to drboycebooks.com, and I'll put the link if you guys want it, and I'll text it out to you guys if you want. But it's a great book. It's called Black Labor, White Wealth, and it solidifies the reparations debate. Like there is no question mark when it comes to reparations. Like reparations, there's the link right there. Reparations is just one of those things where it's like, come on, man. It's a no-brainer. There is no like dispute. There is no like, oh, we need to go do research on it. When they say they want to do research on reparations, all that really is it's a stall tactic. It's a tactic to basically find some reason to spend another 12 years or 20 years talking about it instead of actually doing something about it. So, and I think with reparations, I think the big question at this point is, can you demand it? Like, can you really fight for it? And are you willing to fight for it? Because when you fight for something, you kind of lose friends. Like fighting is hard. Fighting is uncomfortable. Fighting will cause people. It'll help you clearly and quickly know who your friends are and who your enemies are, because your real friends are the ones who will get uncomfortable with you, the ones who will go into those awkward moments with you. Your fake friends are the ones who are going to back away when they think you're losing or when they think that it's not convenient for them anymore. I've learned this because I've had my share of fights in life, and I always took notes on who really stood up and stood by, and then versus who kind of backed off and said, okay, I'll come back when the coast is clear because I want the benefits of being near Boyce, but I don't want the smoke, right? Because I have no I do not shy away from the fact that I've been controversial for a long time because I think black excellence is controversial. I think black wealth is controversial. I think black accountability is controversial. I think that the building of black families is controversial. I think that we have a right to be angry black men and angry black women because there's a lot of bad stuff that happened. There's a lot for you to be angry about. But instead of just being angry, I think after you get angry, you should go do something about it. And that means you set that standard. You anchor yourself in something that's going to give you something that's going to get you to the next level. When you talk about your economics, when you're talking about your family, when you're talking about yourself, your expectations for yourself, education has to be a tip-top priority for everyone who matters in our community, everyone who wants to matter, everyone who believes in themselves. Not just education, but also wealth. So many problems that our young people under the age of 35 are experiencing financially are happening because their parents financially traumatized them by accident. They didn't know that they were doing it, but they did. They didn't know. No one invested for them. No one prepared them. No one gave them any. You didn't give them a running start, a head start, no kind of start. And then you get mad. Then they sit back and you get mad when you see Donald Trump taking care of his son Barron, making sure Barron is set. Right? He got Barron already running a multi-million-dollar company, and he's already got Barron in NYU. He's already got Barron introduced to the world. He's saying, son, here's what I got. Take this. Like, I want you to take this, and I want all his kids are millionaires, and people get mad. And oh, that's not right. Those people, what they doing, they just, that ain't fair. Well, why aren't you doing for your kids? I'm not saying you can make them millionaires, but you can do something for them. You can position them somehow economically. And I think we position our kids well in terms of love. Like I think we feed them and we take care of them and we love them and do the best we can. But I really think that there's an intentionality to thinking about the economic side, like asking yourself, I got a 14-year-old when she's 29 years old, where's she going to be economically and what role do I play in shaping that? Or do I just say, well, I got it out the mud, so you're going to get it out the mud too? How many of y'all seen people like that? Like that's the mindset that so many of us are raised with. A lot of us are raised with that. And it seems like the right mindset at the time. Like, well, I went through hell to get mine. I need you to go through hell too because ain't nobody gonna give you nothing, right? And I kind of think that that's a false approach. I think you give them the work ethic for sure. You teach them how to work for things, but then you give them like that leg up, right? Because I can tell you, I didn't nobody really give me nothing. The whole 4 years I was in college, my parents sent me two checks for $25. That's literally all the money I ever got from them. And here's the thing, though, I was very hardworking. I was very determined. And when I was in grad school, it would have been nice if somebody sent me a couple $1,000s and said, here, I'm gonna pay all your bills, or here's money to pay all your bills. You keep doing what you're doing. You just focus on studying. And I'd have been like, thank you so much, because I was stressed out about the rent, and I was gonna go get a job at Wendy's to pay the rent, which would have taken away from my studies and taken away from and distracted me from the bigger picture of my life. Or if somebody had just said, look, you're young, you're not thinking about owning stock, but I'm buying some shares of Apple for you so that when you finally wake up and realize you need to own stock, it will have been growing in the background. And we've talked about this. I've mentioned to you all that literally if you bought your kid $1,800 worth of Apple stock in 1997, you would have $4 million right now. And I was talking to our son about that. I'm his bonus dad, and he's 6'9". Quincy, that's his name. And Quincy and I were talking for a really long time, and I love it. He came in and just started peppering me with all these questions about the stock market, about artificial intelligence, quantum computing, Elon Musk, no, just all kinds of stuff. And I was like, wow, this is great. I love this. And kids are more interesting when they get to the college age. In case you want, high school kids are weird. They don't make sense. They focus on all the crazy stuff. When they get to college and they hang around college professors, that's probably my sweet spot because I'm a college professor. So I just love talking to like kids at like college age. So he's asking me all these questions. And one thing I told him was I said, look, the thing is that when I was your age, the big thing was the internet. The big new thing was the internet. The internet for us was what artificial intelligence is for you. And I said, here's the thing. If I had been wise enough, I would have known. I could have done something easily, like bought that Apple stock, and I was like, yeah, if you bought $1,800 worth of Apple stock in 1997, it will be worth $4 million today. And he's like, well, how do you know? How do you know what's going to be the next big thing? I said, well, the thing about buying Apple stock is that in 1997, it's not something that where Apple just kind of would sneak up on you. In the 1990s, everyone knew about Apple. Everyone knew Apple was a dominant company. Everyone knew Apple was kicking butt and taking names. It wasn't like Google. Google snuck up on you. Maybe Meta and Facebook snuck up on you, right? You didn't know that these companies were going to be behemoths. Maybe Nvidia snuck up on you. I said Apple didn't sneak up on you. I said my best friend, my homeboy, he was a Jewish kid named Toby. Is my buddy going all the way back to high school. He used to get a MacBook Pro every time. He was really into graphics and art and design, and he would get a new MacBook Pro every time they came out. He loved Apple products. Now, this is before the iPad, before the iPhone, before the i anything, iMac, all that stuff. It was called a MacBook or whatever, or the Apple Mac, or I don't know what the hell, something like with the word Mac in it. And everyone knew about Apple. So it's not like you didn't know Apple was like a big company. It already was. It was just you just didn't know it was going to be bigger. It's not like you didn't know that Nike wasn't a big deal in the 90s. But if you bought a little bit of Nike stock consistently, that would have also made you a millionaire. So what I told him is I said, there's probably 1,000 different ways for you to be a millionaire in the next 20 years that are sitting right in front of you right now. And I said that the key idea is you got to act on something. You got to make those moves. I said, if I could go back in time, what I would have done is I would have just took my extra money and just bought a little bit of stock in any great company that I saw. Just because I wouldn't know which one was going to be the great one. I wouldn't know which one was going to blow up, which one was going to make me a millionaire. But something is. I know for a fact. I said, I know for a fact that there's some company sitting there right in front of you saying, "Hey, invest in me. Hey, can I get you break a brother off a couple of dollars?" There's some company sitting there that's like, "Hey, I'm the next big thing." And you're looking away, looking around it, spending your money at TGI Fridays and all this other stuff. And then when this company blows up and becomes the next Nvidia or whatever, the next $3 trillion behemoth, you'll say, "Damn, I missed it. I missed it. Dang, I missed it." But did you really miss it? Did you really miss it? And did you at least maximize the probability that you aren't going to miss it? Did you at least maximize the probability that you might have had a chance to catch the wave? Because here's the thing. Um, if you're not even conscious of investing at all, if you're not even thinking about it, then you're gonna miss everything. Right? You ain't gonna catch nothing. Like if something's happening over in Chinatown and I'm spending no time in Chinatown, there's nothing that will happen in Chinatown that I'll catch. There's no probability. The probability is zero that I'm going to catch any trends happening in Chinatown. So if I really believe the next big thing is going to happen in Chinatown, then I can at least give myself a chance by putting myself in the game by saying, I'm gonna spend a couple hours around there just looking around, just in case I see something that's going to be the next big thing. Do you understand what I mean? Right? Or when they're looking for the next big rapper, they'll just go hang out in the hood and just go to the studio and talk to different artists and say, well, who do you like? Who's good? Who's the next DMX? Whatever, right? And so ultimately, what I would say is that it's similar, right? I think an investing culture is something that any family can incorporate. It's something that deeply connects to mindset. It's something that makes a massive difference. If you have an investing culture in your household, then you're going to take your extra money, you're going to invest it. Because I told him, I said, look, he said, well, what if I pick a stock and it doesn't go up? What if it goes down and I lose money and blah blah blah? And I said, well, if you spend your money, you know you're gonna lose your money. I said, what else you gonna do with your money? You gonna go to the mall, buy some more clothes? Like that ain't gonna give you a good return on investment. Like, so what else can you, if you don't invest or at least save, what else are you gonna do with your money? You're gonna give it away. You're gonna give it away. So I said, so you might as well invest. Investing should be the first thing you think about. That should be the main thing you do with any extra money that you have. And then if you feel like wasting something, you can. Or maybe if you've already invested as much as you want, then you can go and waste money. But just understand that if I invest in a stock, if I put $3,000 in a stock and the stock value goes down over the next 5 years to 2,500, at least in 5 years, I'll have 2,500 to show for it. I will still have $2,500 left, even if everything goes horribly. If I spend $3,000, I will have nothing to show for it. Nothing. Not one damn nickel. Nothing. And I want you to think about how many times you have spent hundreds, if not thousands of dollars in 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, and have nothing to show for it in 2025. I want you to, in fact, I bet you would have a hard time. Most people do this. I'm not making fun of anybody who's in this category because we're all in this category. I bet that most of us in this room can't think of one damn thing we spent money on in 2012 that we have where we still have something to show for it now. In 2012, a lot of y'all worked 40 hours a week, busted your butt, ran through tens of thousands of dollars, had some good experiences, I'm sure, but literally like nothing built on anything else. Every year it was like a reset. You had to start over again with nothing. You go to work, you get money, spend it, and then go back to work so you can get more money so you can spend it all again. And unfortunately, that's not really a healthy way to kind of manage to deal with your finances because what it does is it requires you to have this ongoing relationship with the economic system, with the employment system, with your job, where you got to keep going back for renewal, you got to keep going back for replenishment. And if they don't replenish, if they just decide, look, we don't want to re-up this time, that means you're done, you're fired, we don't want you anymore, then you can be in a really difficult financial situation because you don't have anything else. You end up like, the poor city of LA. I don't know if this is true or not. Oh my God, this just bothered me. Somebody sent me a video where literally 6 months before all those fires in LA happened, where I could have, I in this video, I don't want to get too political, but they literally said that they dumped like 100 billion gallons of water into the ocean or something like that. Like they just dumped it in the ocean. And I was and literally I know this happened because a bunch of water experts wrote a letter to the governor saying, please don't do this because we need water. Right? They literally did. Look it up. Look it up. I think like look it up. Did California dump billions of gallons of water into the They did this just like 6 months before the fires, and then the fires happened, and the money's like the water's all gone. I don't understand it, and that's what it makes me think about. That's what it makes me think about. We run into these situations in our lives that become kind of like these financial fires. That's what it is. And when those financial fires happen, you need money, which is actually called liquidity. You need you need to be liquid to put out the fire. And what happens is many of us, we are trained to dump all of our water in the ocean. We dump our liquidity. We get extra cash. We got to blow through it. We got to spend it. We go to the mall. And then when there's a fire, your water hose has droplets coming out of it and everything is burning down. When you get a fire, like your car breaks down, that's a fire. Your kid needs money for college tuition, that's a fire. Something happens where you suddenly need a bunch of cash because you lose your job, that's a fire. And the liquidity, it's supposed to come in and put the fire out for you so that you can be financially safe, but you pull out the water hose and two drops come out because all the liquidity, because you dumped 100 billion gallons of water into the ocean, right? And then you're looking back and saying, oh my God, I had so much money and I wasted so much money. And this is the common thing. This doesn't just happen at the individual level. Um, this actually happens at the federal level. The federal government, when Bill Clinton was in office, he created this surplus in the budget, right, where basically you have extra money and the amount that you spend is far less than what you actually brought in tax revenue, and so he passed the surplus on to Bush. So Bush, because the Republicans, they tend to favor wealthy people and business owners and all that. They don't like taxes at all. So they basically put in these big tax cuts and they just cut, taxes in a lot of areas because they're like, oh, we got this surplus, we got this extra liquidity, so let's just dump our water in the ocean. Let's just let it go. We're not going to tax anybody. Well, right after that happened, there was a big financial fire called 9/11. And in this financial fire called 9/11, suddenly it's like, oh, we're going to find out who did this, and we're going to go declare war on Iraq and Afghanistan at the same time. So you're talking about trillions of dollars in spending that would last over many, 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 many years. On top of that, another major financial fire that happened was the 2007, 2008 mortgage crisis that caused a massive drop in the financial markets, and that also was very expensive. First thing President Obama did when he came into office was I think he ordered something like he asked Congress to give him like $700 billion and ironically they gave it to the banks. I didn't understand that. I thought they should give it to people so they can pay their mortgages, but that's America. This is capitalism. This is what happens, right? So basically, you had deficits. They got bigger and bigger and bigger. And then years after that, another decade after that, you had the pandemic. That was another financial fire that we were unprepared to put out. And so now the deficit has spiraled out of control because we didn't have the understanding of financial consciousness or financial balance, right? Consciousness, what I talked to you guys about, means kind of understanding that this too shall pass. If it's something good, this too shall pass. If it's something bad, this too shall pass. If you're doing well, this too shall pass. If you're doing poorly, this too shall pass. When you understand that, when you have consciousness and you can see 4 or 5 dimensions and you know what could be down the road and you're not sure and you want to be ready and you have an assessment of risk, which is like a type of quantum mechanics in a way where you can live in multiple realities at one time. That's what superposition is in quantum mechanics. You have that ability, that consciousness to see like, okay, what's my life look like if I lose my job? What does my life look like if I get a better job? What does my life look like if I take a different job? What does my life look like if I quit my job and start a business? What does my life look like if I quit my job and start a business and it succeeds? What does my life look like if I quit my job and I start a business and it fails? What does my life look like if one of us gets sick? What does my life look like if my kids are going to college and the tuition's too high and I have to pay that and I can't get financial aid, right? You can visualize all this and you can prepare for all this, right? That preparation is the key to your success. I say this to my kids every day. I'm saying this to you as well, not because you're my kids, but because it's something that I think really is true in general when you're talking about being financially strong. People that are financially strong tend to also be financially prepared. I think Warren Buffett is probably the best prototype of that. He's extremely conservative. He's extremely careful. He pays very close attention to risk. He does not take unnecessary risks. You will never see, even when he was young, you wouldn't see Warren Buffett in the club throwing up $100 bills and putting them in stripper thongs to impress his friends. He was the guy that would take his extra cash and invest it and invest it and invest it. That is cultural. That is psychological. None of that got to do with how much money somebody has. What you got to understand is the difference between people that are rich because they started rich versus people that are rich because they started acting rich. When you're acting rich, you preserve your resources, you protect your money. When you pick a partner in life, like you get married, you pick a partner that's going to preserve your resources. That's one of the things I love about my wife. My wife is a person that knows that I can buy her a lot of things, but she doesn't ask for a lot of things because she says, why would we go waste our money on a lot of things? We may need that money later on. That's a mindset. Look for people that have the right mindset. That is what will get you ahead. Okay. All right. So anyway, speaking on that, what I'm gonna do is we're gonna head out. I'd like to try to keep our morning class to 30 minutes a day, just because I 30 to 45 is kind of the number. Because believe me, you'd be amazed how many meetings I have and crap going on. But later on this afternoon, we're doing Stock Market Tuesday, so at Tuesday at noon. So if you want to join, you can do a free trial in our stock market investing club. Just go to drboycestockmarket.com. That's drboycestockmarket.com. Also, I'll text you guys the link to Dr. Anderson's book, Black Labor, White Wealth, in case you don't have a copy. I'm encouraging anybody who is enthusiastic about this, that wants to be almost like an evangelist for Black wealth. Not that we're all trying to be a bunch of Jehovah's Witnesses or anything, but I think that but it's going to take a team effort, right? And so what I would say is that if you're really enthusiastic about this stuff and you have the resources and you're doing well or you got a little extra money, why not grab some copies of the book and give them away to the kids in the neighborhood? Share these ideas. And the reason this is important is because you got to understand that when you talk about Black leadership, which Dr. Anderson is a great Black leader, I do okay, but I can't give myself any title. You have to give me any recognition, any title that I deserve. I can't give that to myself. But Dr. Anderson, I give him that title of being one of the greatest Black leaders in the history of this country. And because he's so effective in his ideas, that's not necessarily something that gets marketed in mainstream media. And marketing is a really big part of the civil rights mindset, right? A lot of now we're finding out that a lot of the civil rights leaders that we looked up to the most were just people that were marketed by media. They said, okay, this is an acceptable Black person, so we're going to market him as the guy, as the main leader that everyone should pay attention to. Well, really, the guy that should have been the guy, or the woman that should have been the person, it was in the background and they didn't get as much attention. So I personally think that not only should we educate our own children and create our own jobs, but also we should create our own heroes. Okay, I believe we should create our own leaders. We should create our own icons if you want to make people into icons, whatever you want to do. So Dr. Claude Anderson, in my opinion, is one of those economic thinkers that we should pay attention to. So one thing you could do if you want to, not telling you to do anything, is buy some extra copies and just give them out to people. Just like, again, just if this is your gospel, if black wealth is your thing, you let people know that you stand on that, that's who you are, that's what you represent. I carry it on my chest. I carry it on my sleeve. There's not a single person that knows me anywhere that does not know that I'm all about black wealth and black economics all day long. Why? Well, because I'm completely convinced to the core of my soul that this is the one thing that if we do this right, and I know how to do this right because I'm damn good at this stuff, that if we do this right, and if we implement the culture, if we implement the strategy, we not only will survive, we will thrive, we will win, we will succeed, we will dominate. We will kick butt. DEI, y'all know what DEI stands for. It stands for development, entrepreneurship, and investment. If we develop the mindset, develop the businesses, develop the institutions, develop the thinking required to have institutions, if we are entrepreneurial in our thinking, don't just chase the jobs, go chase the business. Don't just fill out the job application, fill out the form for the LLC. Don't just think that your life is over because they don't want you and they won't hire you. You still are valuable. You still are somebody. Even if no employer will pick you up for that job, that's okay. Now you got 40 hours of free time to apply and pour into something that is yours, something that's going to build legacy. And then investment. That which you invest in is going to grow. The things you don't invest in are going to die. That's it, period. So if you see something that is dead, I want you to ask yourself, who invested in that thing? If you see a child sitting who's now a 40-year-old man who's sitting on the sidewalk on crack, homeless, and done lost his mind and begging for money, you can ask yourself, who invested in that? Did anybody invest in that child? And I bet you that if you go back in time, you won't find anybody that took the time to invest in that child. And that's why he's been neglected and abandoned. He's become what he is, right? But then when you see another kid, I talked to a black man yesterday. We had a great conversation. He's about 57 years old. He has a son going to one Ivy League school, a daughter going to another one. So he's like, yeah, my daughter's graduating from Brown, my son's graduating from Yale or something. I don't remember. It was something like that. It was really impressive. And I was like, that's amazing. And I could tell just from talking to this man that he and his wife, and unfortunately his wife passed a decade ago. That made me very sad. He and his wife invested heavily in those damn kids. They invested. They poured into them. Now their kids are flying like eagles because the parents made the sacrifice and the parents did what was required. So what are you invested in? I think that's the that's really the question everyone should ask themselves. And I'm not just talking about money. I want to put money to the side for a minute. I'm talking about all the things that are more valuable than money. Your time, you have 8,760 hours a year to invest. What are you investing that time in? When you think about your attention's a commodity. Mark Zuckerberg made $250 billion basically by getting people's attention. What are you investing your attention in? Your energy, your love. You only have so much energy. I only have so much energy in a day. At the end of the day, I'm exhausted, and I have to be really careful about what I invest my energy into. I'm not investing my energy into shenanigans or fighting people or goofy stuff. I want to invest my energy into something that's going to build, right? What are you investing your love in? If you fall in love with somebody, that's a massive investment. That I could analyze a relationship the same way you analyze a portfolio. Literally, everyone has a portfolio of relationships. They just like stocks, just like you have a little bit of IBM, a little bit of Apple, a little bit of Nike over here, right? You got all your friends, all your relationships. You got your mama over here, that's your valuable asset. Then you might have your daddy, you got your best friend, you got your ratchet friend, you got your intelligent friend, you got your crazy friend that's high risk that might get you killed, right? You got your little toxic situationship over here. That's a portfolio. And everything that we do in portfolio theory in the world of finance can literally be done to analyze your portfolio of relationships. So whether you know it or not, you've always had a portfolio. You know what I'm saying? Like you've always had a portfolio. And and how you manage that is essential to you knowing how to navigate the world and get to where you want to get to. So are you strategically thinking about these things, or are you just kind of willy-nilly letting life happen? And I encourage you, if you do it the other way, where you just kind of let things happen, it's probably not going to end up so good for you. That's just life, right? So intentionality, conscientiousness, Thoughtfulness and some meditation really helps. Breathing, just really sitting there and looking at your life, and then planning, lots of planning, and then lots of investment. Once you breathe on it, meditate on it, pray on it, see it, lay it out, plan it, then you pour into it. Just work on boom, 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 boom. Just go, 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 go. And sometimes it might take weeks, months, years, whatever. But when you look back at your life and you see one or two things that you poured into consistently, because we do this with our kids, right? Any mother, any father knows this, right? You look at this child and they're doing amazing things. That's because you make consistent investments in that asset, and that asset's going to pay dividends for you and the family for the next 40 years. So make those investments. What are you invested in? What are you investing in consistently? DEI, development, entrepreneurship, and investment. That's what is on my mind. Okay. So anyway, I gotta go, guys. You heard my phone ring. I think that's a call I actually have to take. So anyway, if you want to get the copy of the Dr. Claude Anderson book, you can go to drboycebooks.com, and the book is called Black Labor, White Wealth. And I'll text it out to you a little bit later. So if you want to get on the text list, and I put the link in the chat if you guys want to take a look at it. I think Dr. Anderson's a beast. And what I do is I just buy extra copies of his books and just give them away. If you ever come to my house, I'm going to give you a copy of his books. I'll give you mine too if you want it. It's the 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power, but I give out his books before I give out mine. We gave his books out at our wedding. That's how crazy me and my wife are. But I want to be gangster with it. Ain't no race that's going to intimidate me out of none of this. And I think there's no obstacle we can't overcome. It's just a matter of focus and having the right mindset. So have the right mindset. Go get it. You're the absolute best. God bless you. Have a good day, everybody. And don't forget it. If you want to be in this class in the private Zoom, get on the text list. Just text the word morning, MORNING, to the phone number 87948. So text morning to 87948. We meet every morning, 10 a.m. Eastern on the dot. I will text you and remind you, give you a wake up call. And we do this 7 days a week because we don't play, we don't slow down. We are the best. We're ranked number one on the planet. That's what all of us are going to be. And I just know it. I already see it. It's already happening. And it's only going to get stronger from here. So have a good day, everybody. God bless you. I'll see you a little bit later. Take care. Bye bye.